good evening, good morning, wherever this is reaching you. My name is Kimani, and welcome to the first official video of Becoming Her in Christ. And so today is really gonna be just me giving you guys my testimony, telling you guys a little bit more about me, why I started this podcast, this YouTube channel, and really where I feel the Lord is taking me in this season, and why He's led me to do this video, to do this to start this journey, literally online with you guys. So originally I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. My parents have been separated pretty much since I was a baby, so I've lived with my mother mostly most of my childhood. I've lived with my mother, and my sister and my brother, and I lived with my father for a few years in another state where he lives currently, with my sisters, my three sisters, and my stepmother. So I've pretty much never really grown up in a two-parent household. It's always been two different households, honestly speaking. But majority of my upbringing has been in New York, of course. And so growing up, I really didn't have a relationship with God. When I would go to church, it was really only for like special holidays, like, Easter, or like baptisms, or baby dedications, Christmas, holidays. My sister went to a school that was Christian, and they had a lot of their events in the church because it was the church and the school were both connected to each other. Well, the school was run by the church, honestly. So that was pretty much the only times that I would like really be in the church or a funeral, which was rare. But I knew about God in terms of, my great-grandparents would take me to church every Sunday, when I would stay with them, and my grandmother would teach me how to pray over my food, pray before I go to sleep, pray when I wake up. If I needed something, like I needed to pass a test, or I was nervous about something, I would always pray to God about it, and the Lord would answer me. And so I think my faith in God really started building up in that way without me even really knowing it. But I was still in the world. I was still partying, drinking, smoking, just doing whatever the world was doing, because I didn't really have that relationship with God. I just knew of Him, but I didn't have an actual relationship. I wasn't living for Him. And so I graduated, went away to college. And about my senior year of college is really kind of where I feel like I was just feeling that urge of wanting more. Like, I bought my first Bible, and I probably read like 1 or 2 pages, and then I closed the Bible off. But I didn't really, again, I was in college, and I really wasn't living for God. But the Lord was still coming through for me, even when I was still, like, of course, not living for Him. But I was praying every morning. I was praying every night before I went to bed, praying to God about every test. So it was like I was still praying to God, but I was still in the world. But even then, the Lord was still there for me, even when I didn't even know He was there. And we'll get into those story times. I'll have like little story times in between, so that way I can really show y'all like how the Lord was working in my life before I really committed to, walking this walk out with Him. But so yeah, my senior year, I was graduating college, and I didn't really know what was next for me. I had always planned on going, where I went away to school, and then I would move down south with my father, go to grad school out there, and like build a house and everything, because my mom and I pretty much like were born and raised in like in the hood type of neighborhood. It was the hood, I'm not gonna lie, it was the hood. And I knew growing up that there was more. I don't know how, but I always felt like there was more to this life than what I was living, and that the things that I was experiencing, I wasn't going to be living it anymore, because I just knew that there was something out there for me, and I believed that school was going to get me there. that if I had the degree and I could get the money, then I could do what I need to do to get out of the hood and bring my mom out of the hood and be able to take care of her. So that was really my drive at the time, was really like going to school, getting this degree, working, you know, getting a house for my mom. That was really my goal. And so I fast forward, I graduated college. I graduated college and I moved down south with my grandparents instead of my father, for personal reasons. And I felt like I was just in a transition of coming out of what I always knew. And so I had this plan that I was going to wait a semester and I was going to work a little bit, and then I was going to go back to grad school, give myself a break, because when I was in school, COVID was happening. So I spent most of my college, like maybe like my sophomore and junior year was during COVID. So I was a little bit burnt out from that, just everything that was going on during that time. It was just a lot. So I felt like I wanted to take a break and really just kind of like work, save money, and then go back. So I went to move down south with my grandparents, and I didn't wait. I didn't wait. I allowed people to make me feel that if I did not go back, that I would never go back. And so it made me feel, it actually did make me feel I was scared to wait a semester, rather than just going back. So I ended up finding a school that summer. So mind you, I graduated in June, right? I moved down south with my grandparents literally probably maybe a few weeks after I graduate. So sorry, I graduated in May. I moved maybe like the second week, the second to last week of May, the 30th or something, because it was right before my birthday, my 22nd. I moved down south right then and there, and then I began looking for schools literally in June, July. Mind you, school, you know, if you're in college starts in August. I should have applied in January, but my intent was to not go to school in August. My intent was to go to school in January. But because of the fear that I felt about not going back, I started looking for schools literally a month or two before school started to try to like jump back in. And I made the decision to go to an online school. And so I was working this dream job that I wanted to do. I was doing mental health counseling, but I wasn't, didn't have the physical title. I have what they called the qualified, some type of mental health specialist. I forgot the name is not coming to me right now, but it was like a qualified mental health professional. Yeah. So I was working like under someone who was a licensed LCSW. They had their own practice. They were gonna help me, you know, like pass the exam. Like it was all pretty much set up for me. Everything that I had that was my plan for myself. Literally, people were putting things in place for me and connecting me to the right people for those things to happen. And so I was working there, and then I was looking for schools and applying for schools out while I was there. And I started going to church with my grandfather, because I just wanted to go back to church. I knew at that moment that I wanted to have a relationship with God, but I didn't want to do it while I was in school because I didn't trust the churches where I was. I was just very like iffy about it, but I knew that I wanted a relationship just because of everything that I knew of him at the time, of God at the time. I just knew there was more, and I wanted to pursue that. So I started going to church, and I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I grew up feeling very anxious, very fearful, very stressed all the time. There was not one day that I did not wake up feeling anxious, and that I did not go to sleep feeling anxious. If I could say, I probably was anxious every single second of my day before I came to Christ. It was always this feeling of anxiety and crippling fear, and I would have these moments where I I would have this buildup of anxiousness, and then I would have a whole breakdown, and I would just cry, and I would call my uncle, and he would have to like try to calm me down, and then once he did, I just went back into that cycle. So it was like this revolving door of um, emotional outbursts, or I guess people call it anxiety attacks. But it was like that every single couple of months or couple of weeks. It was like it would just be this buildup of emotions until I just couldn't take it anymore. And so basically, I just knew that there was more, and I wanted to pursue a relationship with God. And so in that time, I was just feeling really anxious about my life. I just felt like, how can I do school and work at the same time? I've never done it. I don't even like online schooling. I'm more of an in-person. I like to learn in person. I didn't like online learning, and I figured that out during COVID. But it was just, I just felt like it was just this fear, like I was just rushing, that I didn't care. I was just like, I need to get it done now so I don't have to worry about it. And I would go to church, and they would always do these altar calls, and I had a lot of moments where I would feel this urging to go up for the altar call. And I was so scared that I wouldn't go because I didn't want people looking at me. But every time I would go to church, I would feel so encouraged. And then I would be fine for like 2-3 days after church. And then I would feel that anxiousness. And it's like, wait, I got to go back to church. I have to go back and hear another word. I have to go back. And so there was one day they did the altar call, and I asked my grandmother to go up with me. And she walked me up to the altar. And I was scheduled to get baptized that week, the next week and the following weekend. And that was also the following weekend. The next following week I was going to be starting school the day after my baptism. So the night before my baptism, I went out and I got extremely drunk. Yeah, that's really the best way that I could put it. I got extremely drunk to the point of I went to church and I got baptized hungover. Kid you not. Now telling it, it's like you can laugh at this stuff because it's like, you learn from these things. I got baptized hungover. The next day, I started school, and my whole world came crashing down within that week. So I get baptized, right? I start school the next day. That same day, maybe 2-3 days later, I start thinking about where I'm at right now. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. This doesn't feel right. I have the job that I've always wanted, right, guys? I'm connected to the right people that can get me in the field that I want to be in. I'm back in school. I just moved out of New York City, which is something that I wanted to do for years. Yet nothing feels right. And something that I feel like the Lord was teaching me was that in that situation was that wasn't his plan. That was your goal. That was the plan you had, but that wasn't the plan that I had for you. Now, I believe the Lord used it because I ended up getting baptized down there, right? So I do believe that, the Lord used me moving down south to bring me to him. But he had to, once he did that, he redirected me back where he actually wanted me to be. So that week, I quit school. I quit my job, and I moved back to New York with my mother. And I had never felt so depressed. I had never felt like a failure. I felt everything. I felt depressed, like I was a failure. But I felt that same anxiety and that same fear of if you don't go back, you will never go back. And so that forced me to start applying for schools again. Instead of me applying for schools down south, I was applying for schools in New York. Where can I go? How can I do this? I didn't have a job. I was just like, it felt like my world literally came crashing down. And I literally just felt like I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know where to go from here. I didn't know what was next. And all I could think of was school. I gotta go back to school. I gotta get back into school because this is how I'm gonna get where I need to be. And I wasn't working, I wasn't in school, and I was back in my mom's house. So you can imagine the feeling that I had of like, what am I gonna do now? And I didn't realize how much it's crazy talking about this. I didn't realize how much of a blessing that was, that the Lord was bringing me back, realigning me. But I didn't realize how it was a really emotional time. And I didn't even find a church when I moved back home because I didn't know a church. I didn't want to go back to my family church. It just wasn't something that I wanted because at the time they weren't meeting in person, they were meeting online. And I was praying to the Lord, like, Lord, find me a church, bring me to a church. But I wasn't actively seeking it. I pretty much went like right back into the world. And I pretty much went right back into the world and was just back again out partying, contact high, because I was like not smoking, but I was okay with being in the area of it where it was going on. I was dating on dating apps, looking for people to like just talk to, go out with, because I wanted a relationship, but I was clearly now seeking it in the wrong ways and the wrong things. So like, mind you, this all happened in like a 3-month span. So like, I just want to give this to you all again. So May of 2022, I graduate that month. 2 weeks later, May 14th, I graduated May 14th, 2022. 2 weeks later, probably like May 30th, I moved down south with my grandparents, right? I start working at the dream job that I wanted in like the middle of June, slightly after my birthday, because my birthday's June 2nd. So it had to be the middle of June, right? I start applying for schools in like July, right? July, I could say I started applying for schools in July, because school started in August, so I had to get it done a month before. So mind you, I'm doing all this in like 2 months, trying to get back in school in August. But in the midst of this, I'm going to church, right? I'm trying to get closer to God. August, it had to be sort of August 22nd, so it had to be August 20th. That may have been a Sunday. So August 19th, that's Saturday, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have to look at my calendars, but like that month of August 2022, the night before my baptism, I got extremely drunk. August 20th, I get baptized, right? I start school that Monday, August 21st. I quit school that week of the 21st, quit my job, and moved back home. And I sat here and I said, what the heck happened? My entire plan just went kaboom. And so I quit that week of August 21st, I quit my job, I moved back home. Literally September, now I'm home. Now I don't have a job. I'm not in school. I don't have a church. Now I'm pretty much just like out there, like literally like just no direction, no guidance, no nothing. And my best friend, who we were friends since like high school, but she came to Christ before me, so we weren't, I guess to me, we weren't as close, because I knew that she was on her journey and I just wasn't there yet. But she texted me and she started inviting me to her, that she was doing a lot of Bible studies at the time with friends and other fellow Christ believers. And I would come and I would join sometimes, but I wasn't fully committed to going all the time. And I would go, I was still out, mind you, I was still out and about doing my little thing. And I forgot what I was going to say. It was literally on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I had gotten a job in a daycare center, and not a daycare, in an after school program that my mom had gotten for me. And I hated it. I hated it. Like, I dreaded going there every day. And it wasn't even enough money for me to even do anything. And then I started applying for more jobs. So let me tell you how the Lord worked too. I got a job in November. So I started in October. I got a job in October. Was it October? I think it was October. 2 months. Sorry, I'm trying to get it all together. Yeah. Okay, I remember. I got a job in October, like a full-time job. It was a really good job. It was like I called it the job that helped me get on my feet. The Lord provided that for me. And then not even a month after that job, my friend, my best friend now, who I was telling you who was inviting me to her Bible studies, finds a church online that she wanted to go to, and she found the physical location in Brooklyn. She invited me in November, and from November I started going to the church. And so once I went, I immediately just kept coming back. I started serving, and honestly, around January, February, March is where the Lord really started taking me deeper, because I was still coming to church, receiving the word, getting deeper. I wanted more, but I was still in the world. There were still things that the Lord was pruning out of me, like the secular music and the movies and the TV that I was watching. He was slowly doing a work in me and pulling those things away from me, pulling me away from those things. Like I started getting convicted with certain music, with the music that I was listening to the point where I had to delete all my secular music. And over time, I had a lot of people in church who are my friends who would recommend songs to me that I could listen to, like Christian R&B, Christian rap. So it was like God was removing, but He was also replacing. And the Lord just kept working on me. Like He kept working on me slowly but surely. To where I'm at now, where I tried to go to school again, y'all, because clearly I had to learn my lesson. This happened twice. I tried to go to school again, and the Lord told me no. He said, this isn't my plan for you. And I was in denial about it for a whole year because this was something that I really wanted. And I was like, Lord, I gave you a year and I didn't go back to school. So let me go. And He was like, no, this isn't what I want for you. This isn't the plan for you. And He ended up sending me to V1 college. So period. My church actually has a missionary college. It's called V1, where they are just teaching. It's all biblical based. So I could put the link down in the description, or you could go to my Instagram, which I'll also put in the description, and I'll have it on there as well. But He sent me there because He really wanted me to like learn more about Him and get deeper with Him. And schooling wasn't going to help me do that. Like going to grad school for this degree for mental health counseling wasn't going to help me grow closer to God. And so God wanted me to get closer to Him. And so He was like, I want you doing this. And so it was so hard giving it up twice, because I gave it up once before for God. And to do it again was so hard. But I didn't realize how much I idolized school, how much I really thought that school was my way out, when it's really God who's my way out. It's not school. And the Lord had to show me that. And so now, here I am a year later, to not even a year, because I recently just gave up school again for the Lord, because I applied again. And this is where I said I was in denial for a year, and I applied again. I was going to start literally this month. The Lord said no, and I said, after talking to friends, and they were really like confirming things that I was hearing that I didn't think was God, but was God. And he was like, yo, I'm telling you what you need to do, but you don't want to listen. You don't want to do it because this is what you want, but this is not what I want for you. And I ended up having to give up school again for the second time. And the second time was so hard. I cried, y'all. I was in my room sulking. Like, it's crazy. I was really in my room sulking. But I knew that the minute that I said no, the Lord transitioned me into a new season, which is the season that I'm in right now. And in this season, I really feel like the Lord is cultivating me in him and wanting me to go deeper with him. And hence the creation of Becoming Her in Christ is really about me documenting my journey with him, learning to be vulnerable with people and sharing my emotions with you guys, because we all have different stories, and I know that my story is not exactly like everybody else's. And over time, you know, I'm sure you guys will get to know me, and I pray that I'll get to know you guys as I continue on this journey with the Lord, of just sharing my story with you guys and my journey. But y'all, I literally forgot the train of thought. I was just talking and rambling. But the Lord just wanted me to learn to be vulnerable, because there's so many people out here with either the same story or a totally different story. But even somebody being vulnerable can promote some or influence somebody else's ability to be vulnerable with themselves and with God. And so that's really what this is going to be about, is me being vulnerable in this journey, me crying with you guys, me yelling, me laughing, me showing the joy of the Lord. You know, a lot of times we really think that, some people think that when we come to Christ, we're just supposed to be sad and grieving all the time. And it's like, yes, there are moments where God puts us through trials, and we have to learn to endure suffering. And there are going to be times where it's going to be trials and hard times, and sometimes it's going to be a little difficult. But there's also joy, and there's also such amazing, wonderful things in this walk that I have experienced, and I'm waiting to experience more of it. And so I just want to, this is really just going to be an encouragement for people to just continue walking this walk, and to just share my journey with people. And I just pray that as I continue to be vulnerable with you guys, that this can be breakthrough for you guys, or this could be an encouragement to y'all. So I'm like 27 minutes into this video, so I probably will not go too long. But yeah, what to expect is just vlogs. I may have, sometimes I'm gonna sit here like this, and I may have like some discussions or like some topics or some things that the Lord has been talking to me about, like I'm gonna share with you guys, with his permission, of course. And you guys are gonna be seeing me like literally out here living my life, going to church, hanging out with friends, Bible study videos, real life discussions about, you know, like purity and relationships and waiting on the Lord, going deeper with the Lord, breakthrough, just like so much. This is really gonna be, this is a Christ-like, this is a very Christ-like, I don't even know what the words are, but I'm really just gonna be documenting my life with Jesus, and I'm taking you guys on a journey of becoming the woman that God has called me to be in him. And so I thank you guys for joining me on this journey, and I'm excited for my next video. I'm probably gonna do a Q&A, so that we can you guys can get to know me a little bit more, and then yeah. So again, thank you for coming and joining and watching this video. Please share this video, please share this YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please hit the thumbs up, because somebody may need to see this video. So please share this video, please. Like it, thumbs up, comment too, please. Comment your Instagrams, comment, you know, whatever you feel comfortable commenting, of course, because I want to be able to connect with you guys too, because I follow back. All right, I follow back. So no, seriously guys, thank you again. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.